Hi there, this will be a double pendant. For this we will use 20 gauge and 22 gauge wire. You're going to cut 3 pieces of 20 gauge wire at about anywhere from 12 to 16 inches long. And then you're going to cut a 4-inch piece of 22 gauge as well as a 10-inch piece of 22 gauge. Get the 3 20 gauge wires and even them up on one end. And then find the middle part of the 3 wires. And then you're going to wrap the 4-inch 22 gauge around the middle part a few times. Then you're going to leave a gap and then wrap on the other side of the gap a few times, 2 or 3. Then you're going to scrunch those together to make your bail have a little hook that a pendant can hang from. Then you're going to wrap and shape the wire around the stone, pinching at the top with your fingers where the bail is going to be. Then remove the stone. Leaving a little bit off the end, wrap your 10 inches of 22 gauge around the neck. Be sure to leave lots of extra wire because you're going to wrap that around the bail to make the bail. Okay, using your fingers, split the wires across the stone, put 2 in the back of the stone, 1 on either side and 2 in the front to hold the stone in place. Also, as you do this, your wire wrapping might start moving on the bail. Just push it down towards the stone to keep it in place. Separate the wires at the top, there are 6, into 3 each, 3 for the bail, 3 to decorate with, and then you have your other wire hanging that you're going to wrap around the bail as you bend the wires. Wrap all the extra wire around the bail and then tuck the end, the pokey part, up underneath in between the rock and the bail, and then put the other wires back down. The 3 leftover wires in the back you're going to wrap around the bottom of the bail and tuck them in the back, each one. Tuck it up underneath the bail, in between the bail and the stone. My wire wasn't long enough to wrap all the way around, so I trimmed it and then I curled it up towards the stone to avoid having a pokey thing hitting somebody's neck. Now we are at the fun or the frightening part of what to do with the extra wire. This tutorial is going to show spirals. And to do that, you bend the end of the wire with a pair of pliers, and then you switch to pliers that are covered in tape or plastic pliers, and you make spirals. And I don't know how to explain it other than it's flat inside the pliers, and you're rotating your pliers with the direction you want to go in. Here we have 22 gauge and about 17 inches of it for our next wire wrap, which will be a basket style. You're going to take your wires and cross them in the middle to make a loop for the bail, and then you're going to twist to keep it in place, straighten it, and then wrap it around the stone. That's the tricky part. And twist at the bottom while holding it all together, which can be aggravating, but you can do it. And then you take one of the wires up the side, up to the top, and you take it around the bail. Then you take your wire down the stone and then back up the other side, and you wrap at the top to keep it in place. And then you take your other wire And do the same, and this time you might have to sew a little bit and stick it through and under the bottom of the stone and wrap it at the top. And then you're going to take your pokey part and stick it under the bale, in between the bale and the rock. And then you will have to take the extra wire and wrap it around to make the bale, ending towards the bottom of the bale near the stone so that you can tuck the wire in up underneath. Then you'll see there are probably loose spots. Those you will take your pliers to and do a little twist to tighten. After you have adjusted the wires and you're satisfied with how the stone sits in the cage, you're going to make a jump ring with 20 gauge wire to connect the pendants. I used a couple of inches here. You won't need that much. Once I have the jump ring shaped, I open it up and position it on the pendant that's going to dangle in hope that it comes out with the pendant facing front. I still haven't figured out how you do that ahead of time. Every time I do it, I have to readjust it. But then you hook it to the other pendant, same way, and then you take your pliers and make sure that the circle is round and it looks finished.